Welcome to Chair Yoga. Today we're doing the first two parts that form part of my regular class. We'll settle into the position in the chair and then we'll perform the spinal sequence, which is only 4 moves, and it just gives you a good start to then be able to move into anything else that you'd like to do before you finish up your yoga practice today. Or alternately, as the sequence builds up, you'll be able to move into one of the other short films that I'll put onto YouTube. So to start the practice, find a suitable chair. Now this chair has no arms beside it. It's a good, firm, solid dining chair. And the main thing we're looking at is to be able to be comfortable on the chair, and as you take a seat, you want your feet to make contact with the chair. So I can sit back in the chair and still have contact with the floor. I can sit a little bit forward in the chair and still have good contact. If the feet don't make contact, grab a blanket, grab a book, grab anything you've got that's firm and solid so you can bring the floor up. And as you find that position in the chair, take any seat that you want. You can sit right back into the chair. I'm a little bit forward in the chair. I've got about that much space behind me so that I still feel that I've got good grip. I'm not going to fall off by being too close to the front. Rest the hands down on the lap or anywhere that's comfortable, so they can be palm down, palm up, in the lap, down by the side, wherever is comfortable for you. Some people like to hold their hands in a mudra where the thumb and first finger actually make contact, or various other ways. For me, it's just comfortable to rest my hands on the lap, or should I say on the knees. So when you're in this position, I'd like you to either close your eyes or just take the gaze down a little bit so you take away the visual distractions of the day. And as you do that, just focus on the position that you've taken. Feel how the feet press down into the floor. Feel whether or not the pressure seems even from right foot to left foot. And even if it does feel a little bit different, is there any need to auto-correct that, or is it okay as it is? Notice the legs. You've got the lower legs and the upper legs, the bend in the knees. Just be aware of how the back of the thighs make contact with the chair. To the hips and the buttocks, noticing how the buttocks make contact. And even if you have to sort of do a little wiggle and pull the cheeks a little bit away so that you can get a really nice connection to the chair and feel that you're sitting upright. So as you do that, you want to make sure that it's really comfortable so you don't have to move later on if the legs start to hurt because you've actually got the wrong position. So we sit up in the chair, which means that the spine feels that it's nice and tall. There's no slouching, there's no leaning back in the chair. A little bit of core strength, not tummy, but actual core, the whole lot, as you keep yourself upright and tall. See if you can visualize your spine from vertebrae by vertebrae. Start at the tailbone and just slowly work your way all the way up to the base of the skull. From base of the skull, you continue through to the crown of the head. You've got that really nice alignment, so we're not tilted off to the side or forward. It's a really lovely line. The shoulders are relaxed, as are the arms. And you're just aware of your hands and where the hands or the forearms actually make contact with the legs or the chair. So we can bring ourselves in a really nice, still, physical still position quite quickly. And from here, we spend a few minutes looking at our breath. Watching the breath tends to help us to settle more. And for today, it's just watching your natural breath. So as you breathe in, just notice that slightly cooler air on the inhale and use that cooler air to follow the breath into your body. You feel it as the breath comes into the nostrils. Maybe that you're aware of it into your sinuses, down into the back of the throat and into the chest and lungs somewhere. And at the top of each inhale, there's that little pause before the breath starts to exhale. Follow the breath out. Logically, it has to be the same pathway, but sometimes it feels that it's going in a different direction. But at the end of that exhale, notice that the exhale air is probably a little bit warmer than the inhale. And notice that there's also a pause where the breath stops at the end of the exhale before you start your next inhale. The simple process of watching the natural breath helps to settle us. And now after your next exhale, bring the focus back to your body here on the chair and just bring a few gentle movements into the body as you deepen your breath a little bit. Perhaps lifting the shoulders, shrugging them, moving them around. A little head turn from side to side, or a roll of the head and neck. Maybe pushing down with the hands, stretching the legs. But then coming back into this nice neutral position. So this neutral position, the series of right angles from the lower legs coming up from the floor, lower legs to the upper legs, and then from the upper legs to the spine. We feel that it's a series of right angles, and we have the legs hip width apart. So those two fists just between the knees there or above the knees gives you an idea of the distance to hold that. Hands rest on the lap, on the legs here, and we move into the first part of the spinal sequence, which is a variation of cat pose. So on the inhale, we're bringing the hands in closer to the groin. The elbows go back, as do the shoulders retract, and the chest lifts forward as the head lifts up. Exhale, we let the hands come forward to the knees, the shoulders round, the chin goes to the chest, and maybe the hands could go further down. Inhale, we come back up and repeat the process. So we're looking at this concave to convex movement in the spine. And the movements can be quite exaggerated, going all the way to the floor, or they can be quite small and still do that movement. So the hands wouldn't have to move at all and just focus on the movement in the shoulders as they retract back and round forward. Whatever feels good. With your ability, if the greater the movement, the more you tend to warm the body up and get that flexibility and elasticity into the whole body. On the next inhale, I should say, come back to neutral. Let the hands drop down to the side and we move into a side bend. So on the exhale, we're letting the right hand drop down. As we drop the right hand, we go to a lean to the side, pushing the left buttock into the chair a little bit. We can stay here in this position. We could perhaps take the left hand up towards the armpit. Perhaps you have the shoulder ability to come up and go right over into a big bend. On the inhale, we come back up. Now we can swap the hands straight over into the full arch. Or maybe you're more comfortable to bring the elbow up. Or if the arms and shoulders aren't good today, it just stays into a side bend. But whatever now, on the left side, we're pressing the right buttock down to accentuate that arch as we lean from side to side. So I'm demonstrating the various options that you can do. Find the option that works and then stay with that option. Try not to change things around continuously as you move into the practice. Work with the breath and find a constant flow of one particular move. Doing one more side bend on each side as you finish from the left. And then come back into that neutral position as you let the hands rest down onto the knees, sit up nice and tall, core muscles just slightly engaged so that you can stay upright. And now we move into the twist. So taking the right hand behind you on the chair, left hand onto the right knee, Lift tall on the inhale. Exhale as you wrap around to the right. On the inhale, coming back to the center and moving around to the left. So making it a nice smooth movement as you work from side to side. An optional variation would be to take the hands up here into a hug and moving from side to side. And as you go into the twist, when your hands are up here on the shoulders, you're obliged to actually use more core strength to work into the twist. You haven't got the hands to push you further around. So whatever option you choose, just continue to work with the breath. We have one more to each side. As you finish from the left and come back into that neutral position. The final movement is the rotation. And I'm coming a little bit further forward in the chair so I can lean back further. I set the feet up so it's all nice and stable. The fingertips go into the hip crease. And we start by exhaling and coming forward in the chair. Just going backwards and forwards to start. Inhale, come up and lean back close into the back of the chair. Exhale, coming forward. Now, particularly be aware as you inhale and lean back into the chair that both of those feet stay firmly in contact with the floor. The further back you go, you need to use or engage the core muscles to keep the feet on the floor. If the core muscles aren't engaged, it's too easy to lift up the heels or the toes. And you want to keep that connection. Now the next time that you come forward, we'll move this into the rotation. So leaning forward as you exhale, on the inhale, slowly going across to the right. Back into the chair, exhaling across to the left and forward. Working the rotation with your breath. And sometime in this next rotation, we change the direction. Next rotation is the last. Hands resting back on the lap, the shoulders relax, close the eyes down if that feels okay, and just reflect back on the spinal sequence. The 4 separate poses as we did the basic cat arch, concave to convex, moving into the side bends, into the twist, and finally into that pelvic tilt and rotation. That concludes the presentation of this part of the class. There'll be more variations of class work as we go through this interesting time ahead. So thanks for joining me today. Hari Om Tat Sat.